We have all gathered to talk about the grassroots movement called #Unrig. I hope you enjoy.
My name is Cynthia McKinney, and I'm proud to join with Robert David Steele and others to launch #Unrig Summer of Peace. I'm a child of the civil rights movement, and I am a student of COINTELPRO. What the civil rights movement teaches me is that transformation is possible. And what #Unrig Summer of Peace is about, it's transformation on the governmental scale. Because of my awareness of COINTELPRO, I understand that COINTELPRO stopped and cut short the transformation that was promised in the civil rights movement. The US government used targeted assassination and other dirty tricks to accomplish its goals. That was my first understanding of the workings of what has become known today as the deep state. From the Frank Church Committee hearings, what I learned is what the US does abroad, eventually it brings home. And through my observations, I've learned that what the US government does at home to the Black community eventually will be visited upon white America as well. So my appeal has been, if you don't want it to happen to you, stop it when it's happening to us. Wow. And that is the promise, I believe, of #Unrig Summer of Peace, where finally we can all come together and stop the transgressions of the government and demand integrity once again.
I cannot improve on what Cynthia just said. And I will, however, say that it's very important to understand that for the last 15 to 20 years, the secret intelligence world has been spying on and blackmailing our politicians. And as a former spy who used to think he was doing important stuff, I am very offended by what the secret intelligence community is now doing to undermine the Congress of the United States of America. They are blackmailing our congressmen. We have to stop that. The deep state is also not just about the two-party tyranny in the secret intelligence community. It's about the bankers, the Rothschilds, the Black Pope, the Jesuits, the City of London, Wall Street. They own us all. They own the government. They own the economy. They own our society. #Unrig is about taking the power back ethically, non-violently, and in the next 120 days. And we do that with the Election Reform Act of 2017, which has 12 different specific components that I'm not going to go into right now. You can just look it up. That is a starting point for a national conversation. It is not a take it or leave it prescription. Hundreds to thousands of people have thought about electoral reform for a long time. But for the first time in history, Cynthia McKinney and I are trying to inspire a national conversation in the next 60 days that could turn America around overnight without violence. #Unrig Summer of Peace beyond Trump and Sanders.
Very good. Yes. Okay. And all of the moderators have one question each prepared for Robert and one for Cynthia. And we're going to start with Steve. Would you like to go ahead and present your first questions?
Yes, this is for Cynthia. You know, we're dealing with a very diverse communities of people here as we spread this message of unity about the Election Reform Act, which is going to benefit at least 99% of us, regardless of which side we've been on. So my question is, how do we, in communicating with our own communities, put the differences in the background and a common cause in the foreground?
Well, honestly, we don't put the differences in the background. The reason that I'm me and I have my unique and my distinct identity, and my identity is to be celebrated. You have your unique and distinct identity that should be celebrated. That's what we've got to learn to do. And so we don't put our differences in the background. We celebrate and accept our differences, and then we find ways to collaborate with each other.
Thank you. Excellent.
And do you want to go ahead with your question for Robert?
Sure. So Robert, how do we gain and sustain credibility for this movement so it really does become a movement of we the people that becomes independent of the two-party tyranny?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. And I will tell you that when I ran for president in 2012, Cynthia, of course, ran in 2008, what I found was that all political parties are toxic. This has to be a neighborhood conversation. This has to be a conversation among citizens at the congressional district level, and they need to throw the parties away. This is about we the people. It is not about political parties taking power.
Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Denise, would you like to present your questions?
Absolutely. Cynthia, having worked tirelessly to eradicate human trafficking and pedophilia, how do you propose we tackle this issue going forth? And can UNRIG really bring awareness to this issue and ultimately heal the affected?
I think it's possible for us to save our children, but it's also necessary that we save our children. And the same kind of will that created the first American Revolution is the same kind of will that can create the second American Revolution. And so, first of all, we come together. Secondly, we save our children.
Go ahead, Denise.
And Robert, in light of your background with the CIA, which globally enables tyrannical dictators and politicians, how can we, the people, be assured that your initiative will engender and foster an ethos of compassion in a time when disinformation, and ideological differences fuel the minds of the masses, creating more tension and further polarization?
That's, we are so divided. Let me answer that in three ways at least. Number one, Cynthia and I are educators. Dr. McKinney and I are educators. We're trying to inspire people to have a conversation. I personally hope that everyone will set aside all ideological and issue differences and focus on our common enemy, the deep state, and a common solution, restoring integrity to the government with an Election Reform Act. This is not about me. This is about all Americans deciding whether or not they want their country back in order to preserve and protect their children going into the future.
Okay, and now it's time for my question. Cynthia, a lot of people who are hearing about #unrig associate this movement with Donald Trump, and that is spurring a lot of closed minds and negativity about this movement. Can you tell me how you expect #unrig to join the extreme left with the extreme right on this project?
Actually, I am the extreme left. I have tried to infuse the policies of the United States government with my values and the values that I think are universal, at least the values that I think should be universal. That is truth, peace, justice, and dignity. Earth dignity as well as human dignity. And so I have wanted the respect for our Bill of Rights to apply to everyone in the United States. I have wanted the foreign policy of the United States to reflect those values. I've wanted truth from my government. I've wanted transparency from my government. But unfortunately, I haven't gotten it. I think, and from my experiences now, what I have learned is that's exactly the same thing that the far right wants. And fortunately, I will say that everything has been turned upside down with Donald Trump's campaign. When he was the one that said the system is rigged. And all of us said, yes, it is. And so let's get together and unrig it. So this is not in support of Donald Trump. This effort is in support of the U.S. Constitution and our right to be a sovereign nation populated with sovereign individuals who care about this country.
That was an amazing answer. Thank you very much for that, Cynthia. Okay, Robert, all of us here today agree that the political two-party system is rigged, and unrigging that system will go a long way toward improving the integrity of our country. But the rigging goes much deeper than this two-party tyranny system we've seen for so long. If hashtag unrig is successful in breaking down the walls of the two-party system, what would be the next step to continue to unrig the rest of the system all the way up to the one percenters?
Oh, wow. Well, let me say first that while I'm not extreme right, I'm certainly right. And Cynthia and I represent what's possible when the right and the left come together, when white and black come together, when really smart people like her and really dumb people like me come together. Okay, we can do this. Number one, election reform makes Congress honest so that it doesn't matter who the president is. But I'm hoping that our legitimate president will in fact take the leadership role. I'm watching videos from people every day that are saying, Mr. President, you said we have a rigged system. Why aren't you leading hashtag unrig? Dr. McKinney and I would embrace Donald Trump's leadership if he chose to lead hashtag unrig. We will take a backseat to him any day of the week. But if he won't do it, then it's on all of us to come together. If you get election reform, you get evidence-based governance, holistic analytics, true cost economics. The first thing that you can get is nationalizing the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the single greatest enemy of every American citizen, and it is the single greatest source of war as a profit center and the theft of our natural resources and our health and our future. Beyond that, you get to health reform, which is also food reform. Food has been weaponized in the United States. We are now being fed poisonous food as part of a population control agenda. We now have a Center for Disease Control that is in the business of legalizing poisons and sterilizing people, generally black people, because they want to start with them. And Cynthia McKinney, Dr. McKinney is absolutely right. Every bad thing that has ever been done to a black person is now being done to a white person. And it's time we wake up and all realize we're all black now. It's time for all of us to come together. But the bottom line is election reform leads to evidence-based governance, which leads to the end of the military-industrial complex, the agricultural complex, the energy complex, the medical complex, and of course the prison complex, where Bill and Hillary Clinton have put more black people in jail than there were slaves at the beginning of the Civil War. And judges are being bribed to put young white students into jail because they're getting a bonus for every person they put into jail. So the revolution has started. It can be nonviolent. Hashtag unrig is the beginning, not the end.
Very good. Okay, everybody has presented the questions. We are down to closing statements, and we're going to do the first closing statement with Robert.
Hi, this has been fantastic. I'll do my imitation of the Howard Dean scream. Wow! This was wonderful. What I want to say is Dr. McKinney and I are educators. This is a nonprofit educational endeavor. It's going to last for 90 days. This is the beginning of a national conversation. The onus is on every citizen to decide if they, in fact, want to do this. And it's simple. All you have to do is download the Integrity Pledge, get together with 5 or 6 other people, and when your member of Congress is home in July and August, when they cannot hide from you, demand that they sign the Integrity Pledge, which is a commitment to co-sponsor and vote for the Election Integrity Act in September and October. If you do that, you don't need Donald Trump, you don't need Bernie Sanders, you don't need Dr. McKinney, and you don't need Robert Steele. This is on you. God bless America.
God bless America. Cynthia, would you like to close out this session? Give us your closing statements.
I come to you with openness and honesty. And that's the tenor of the conversation that we need to have in this country. I've spent my whole life resisting, and I appreciate those who resist with me. I also know what I'm resisting. And I also know what I am for. I'm for truth, justice, peace, and dignity. And what we've been given is a huge dose of lies, injustice, war, dehumanization, and earth adulteration. I think it's time to stop it. And that's why I've joined with Robert David Steele and all of you in We the People, Unity for Integrity, hashtag Unrig Summer of Peace.
Amazing. Thank you so much.